Why 90% of golfers can't strike their irons purely. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a critical issue that affects a lot of golfers, and it's inconsistent iron strikes. Now, have you ever wondered why you struggle to hit your irons purely? Today we're going to cover common problems that we see and ways that you can overcome it. Before we do get into the video, if I could just ask you one favour, and it'd be hit that subscribe button. It means you'll never miss another video like this, and you'll get better at golf in the process. So hit subscribe and let's get into the video. Firstly, what does a poor iron strike look like? Now, it's when we go to hit the ball, but we make contact with the ground before the ball. This causes our hands to flick, it causes the body to fall back and overwork. You'll see the ball go inconsistent in distances and it'll fly in the wrong direction. But what's the difference between that and a good ball striker? Now, you'll see with the best golfers in the world, at impact, their hands are leading way and their club head are falling behind. This is putting compression on the ball and it's creating a crisp iron strike. We're hitting the ball and then the ground, not the ground and then the ball. Again, that creates consistency and pure strikes every time. So how do we fix that? And step number one is making sure we've got the correct setup, because the setup is what's going to lead us to a good technique. Straight away, ball position is super important when it comes to our setup. I'm using a mid iron, I'm using an 8 iron, and this needs to be just left of centre. And why is that? That's going to allow the club to arrive at the ball at the correct time, the hands are leading way, and we're going to create that ball to ground contact. However, if my ball position was too far forward, you can see this is going to cause me to hit the ground before I even get to the ball. That's when you're going to see it thin through the air. It's not going to go very high. And if the ball position's too far back, then I'm going to hit down way too much on the ball. You can see I'm chopping down. It's going to be super inconsistent. And in the winter, it's going to hurt your hands. So making sure your ball position is consistently in the correct spot is going to allow the low point to be in the consistent spot every time. You're going to be hitting ball to ground contact and you're just going to be hitting it really, really nice. Next part of setup is all about the sternum. So when we set up over the ball, we've got our correct ball position. We now want to make sure that our sternum is directly over the ball. Not like with our driver where we're set behind. We now want to be over the ball. And why is that? So when we take our back swing, like we're going to speak about in a moment, we want to ensure that we're working the whole body as one. But a lot of golfers fall away from the centre and it's going to cause you to overwork. So setting your sternum up correctly on setup is just going to make the swing so much easier. And the third tip for our setup is slightly pushing our hands forward, like so. So this replicates how we want the hands to be set at impact. It encourages forward shaft lean and it really helps compress the ball and give those consistent strikes. So let's give that a go. Correct ball position, got our hands pushed forward and sternum is over the ball. Well, that felt really good. Don't leave your tissue in your pocket like I just did, and let's move on to step number two. Step number two is all about the backswing. And the first part is all about rotation. So like we briefly just mentioned, we want to rotate our body so that our sternum stays over the ball. This prevents any swaying and maintains your centre of gravity. And with that, we need to ensure that the club face is staying square and that we're maintaining width in our swing. We don't want to collapse and we don't want to let the body go. It's going to cause so much overworking and it's going to cause those fat, inconsistent strikes. So a really good drill that I always think of when it comes to the backswing is popping an alignment stick down the ball line and getting yourself a second alignment stick to use as rotation. So the first stick is for sternum and this one is to ensure that our body is rotating. All we want to do is set up over our ball as though we're about to hit a shot, pop the stick on our shoulders. We want to work the stick down to the end of the stick on the ground. Okay? You can feel a stretch. That's allowing the body to rotate, the weight to shift, and we're creating just so much room in the swing. almost feel that your back points towards your target, which is just ensuring that you're rotating. From there, work the other end of the stick down towards the ball, and again, you can see the whole body's turned, the weight shifted back over, and my sternum is staying over the ball. If I then replace the second stick from a club, imagine my shoulders working down towards the ball. Okay, just take a nice smooth practice swing, shifting the weight over, and fully rotated. And now down towards the ball, working the trail shoulder back down towards the ball, shifting that weight. And again, you can see I've got forward shaft lean, I'm compressing the ball, and I'm creating that lovely ball then ground contact. So this is what it looks like in action. If I move away from the stick, I'm gonna see it straight away. And that's fine to reset yourself. Let's give it a go. Oh, that went super straight and really nice. And now the final step is all about the downswing. And one of the key parts to our downswing is, like we just mentioned, the weight transfer. So if we don't shift our weight correctly with our irons, we're going to see ourselves fall back. We're either going to slide to hit the ball, and that's when you're going to have chunked, thin, super inconsistent shots. You're going to see your hands flick to get to the ball, and you can see this is creating no downward strike, and you're just going to be super inconsistent. Instead, top of backswing, we want to feel our hip shift back over to shift the weight that we just produced onto our trail side. We're going to shift it back over to our lead side, and then we're going to let the arms and the top half uncoil. Now, a really good drill for this is get yourself set up as normal, but take your lead foot next to your trail foot. What you want to do from here is take your swing, but before you reach the top, you want to shift your lead foot back over and start your downswing. Like we've spoke about throughout this whole video, we need to get rid of these ground chunky shots, these sliding thin shots, and we want to encourage the club to make contact with the ball and then the ground. The best golfers in the world, as we've spoken about, they don't fail to make this strike. They don't fail to hit the ball and then the ground. But amateur golfers have around 6 inches either side of the ball that they vary between. So if you're constantly hitting behind the ball, then in front of the ball, then a good strike, you can tell that's going to be really frustrating when you're on the golf course, and you're not going to be able to determine which way the ball's going to fly, because hitting the ground here versus here is going to encourage the club face to be pointing in different directions. So not only is this going to affect the strike, it's also going to affect the direction that the ball flies in. So really working through those 2 drills that we spoke about, rotation and our stepping drill, is going to encourage a downward angle of attack, and you're just going to have so much consistency when it comes to our irons. And that's not to mention a clean strike. We want to ensure that we're hitting the ball out the centre of the club face, not out the toe and not out the heel. If you can hit the ball off the centre of the club face consistently, then you'll get the most efficient strike and you'll hit the golf ball further. Let's give it a go. That felt really, really pure. So by following those simple steps and addressing the issues, you're not going to be flicking your wrists, you're not going to be thinning it, fattening it, and you're going to be on the way to hitting clean shots consistently. So if you enjoyed today's video and took some value away from it, then please press subscribe. It's free, you'll really be helping me out, and it means you'll get better at golf. So hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.